The Watchers.
Ooh.
M. Night Shyamalan's daughter said, I can make a movie too. And then they decided to make this movie about a bunch of people stuck in the woods with an angry force following them. It stars Dakota Fanning, that girl that's been in a lot of bad movies lately, and a bunch of fairies.
That's the tarot lady.
Yes, and the Texas Chainsaw Lady. She was also in The Northman and Mandy, and those were like some of my favorite movies in the last few years. But yes, I guess spoiler, it was fairies. Sorry. I really wanted to do the pun that it stars a bunch of fairies. Adam, how did you feel about this one?
Well, she set out to make a movie like her father, and I think she did.
For better or worse.
For better or worse, especially modern M. Night Shyamalan, not quite the greatest track record. Yeah. I will say I think she did a better job than he did in a lot of his recent stuff. I didn't hate this movie. I found it, and kind of like The Bike Riders, incredibly just meh across the board. There was a lot of potential here. I'm probably in the minority on this one, but I thought the last section of this film alleviated a lot of the frustrations I had, because they actually, she kind of does explain everything. And even if it is kind of a stupid explanation, it does alleviate some of the problems I had earlier with the movie. Not terrible. Cinematography's beautiful. Acting's fine. It's just kind of a mystery whodunit, J.J. Abrams-esque kind of movie. And yeah, I think it's serviceable. Nothing I would say run out and watch, though.
Okay. Joey, how did you feel about The Watchers?
It was actually kind of a scary idea with like the woods and the bunker and like the glass wall. I kind of dug that. The acting wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good. I felt like this is a great movie to watch with friends, but alone, it's just kind of a bad movie. And Adam, like you said, the scares were mid. It felt more like a thriller rather than like a full-blown horror movie. I don't think it was good, but I surprisingly actually wasn't that bored watching it. It's like a roller coaster at a fair for kids. Sure, it's a little fun, but it's just really not that cool, man. No.
It's like you got Hagrid's Ride over here, you got Buckbeak's Journey. We're gonna go to Buckbeak for this one. It is PG-13 too. There's really nothing too aggressive going on.
Gil, how did you feel?
I think I pretty much agree with everything that Adam and Joey said. Like, I think the best thing about the movie, and the thing she did best, was build up the mystery. Like, I did want to know what was in the woods. I did like the fact that everything was explained by the end. And there were some genuinely creepy moments. But overall, I think, I couldn't tell if it was a writing problem or an acting problem, but I really didn't like the characters. I felt like it was really on the nose how they tried to develop the main character, where at the beginning of the movie, they cut to like a 30-second scene of her at a bar wearing a wig, saying she's a ballerina. Then she gets in the car, looks in the mirror. She's ostensibly talking to herself, but really she's talking to us. And she's like, don't judge me. It's just something I do sometimes to feel like I like to not be myself sometimes. Very overtly pointing at kind of the theme of the movie, I guess. And the other thing that bothered me about them is just how insanely uncurious they are. When they go in the woods and they find this structure, I feel like if you're in this room that's no bigger than like a small studio apartment, you would immediately investigate every corner of it, and they don't. And it actually matters.
Well, hang on. Yell, pump the brakes. So that was one of the things I was super frustrated with. I'm like, how do you not pick this up? How do you not look over here? But the old lady, she's apparently been there for a very long time, and she could definitely have swayed the conversation and said, like, hey, there's no reason to look. I was able to kind of fill in some of the bullshit, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That was very frustrating.
Yeah. I think if the movie was firing on every other cylinder, I would have afforded it that charity. But it's not looking around the room. There's a lot of questions I feel like I would have asked immediately that don't get asked for a while. And so I think, like Joey, like you said, though, I wasn't bored. And I would be curious to see where she goes next and what her next movie is.
Yeah, I was invested the whole time. I was getting a little frustrated, like you said, Adam, where I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? And to the movie's credit, it explains the mystery. I personally think it over explains it. I don't think we needed to see the big rock where all the monsters came out of and get more backstory there. And then the whole last act feels like I'm watching a different movie. It doesn't feel like a horror movie anymore. It feels like a fantasy thriller thing. I'm like, I feel like the movie ended once they left the woods. But now it keeps going. The whole explanation for the bunker, I'm glad that they explained how the bunker got made. But when I thought about it, I'm like, so every day this guy took one path out the woods that he somehow knew about, and he got 13 sad, lonely guys to come back to the woods with him, mix concrete, build a thing, waited for them to die, and then would go back out. I'm like, that was a really complicated
Tony,
plan.
finding 13 lonely guys is the least stretchful thing in this film. I could probably walk down the block here and grab 13
and
lonely
these go to YouTube live now. Okay, who's streaming?
But he said he did it in like 2009, which was weird. He says he's like, it's 2009, but like all the computers are from the 90s. And I'm like, why wouldn't he just set it in the 90s? That being said, the monsters were interesting. I'm glad they never fully focused on them.
Yep.
Because they were it's like the problem with a lot of monsters. They're like super digital these days. But they were good enough to like make them quick, never really linger on them. I mean, they are fairies, but they're fine. They work for the most part. But yeah, I'd say check it out. Don't rush out to theaters to see this.
This is a one and done kind of situation.
Yeah.
You watch it, you don't mind it, and then you never think about it again.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Do we have anything to say about the Watchers?
Don't go on the kids' roller coaster. That's all I got to say.
By the way, you guys are probably wondering, Tony, why didn't you do Bad Boys 4? And that's because I never saw Bad Boys 3. And I just didn't feel like watching both of them.
And Tony, I saw Bad Boys 3 and I completely forgot everything about it. And 4 really does rely heavily on the plot of 3. Like a lot of
that's what I thought. I thought I would have to know.
It's like, wait, was this guy in the last one? I completely forgot.
Also, it's not Michael Bay, so I'm like, eh.
This one, I thought 4 was a lot better than 3, though. It was a pretty fun movie.
Also, I haven't watched the first 2 in a million years, so I need to go back to those. Okay, we're doing good time here.
Quick sidebar: I got back from A Quiet Place day 1. Took the family out, saw it a little bit ago. Solid.
I still need to see 2.
I think 1 and 2 are stronger than this one. This one's got a little bit of pacing issues, a little slower, but it's a good time.
I need to see Quiet Place Part 1 because every single film I've seen for the last 5 months has played that trailer. So I feel like I've been conditioned and brainwashed to go see this prequel.
Yes.
Even though I never saw the second one. I'm like, okay, it's in my head now. I need to go fucking see this movie because I'm so tired of seeing the goddamn preview.
Yeah, there's nothing in the prequel that like you don't need to know Quiet Place 1 or 2 even to watch this.
It looks like it's going to solve a lot of my problems I have with the original Quiet Place. Where I'm like, how did these aliens take over the world? There's only like 3 or 4 of them. But it looks like they're fixing that gap.